of the show. Gabriel, good to see you. Let's talk about the Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement, 10 months into inception. How is the assessment? How do you assess the performance of countries in taking up these opportunities?
Well, thank you very much for having me join you this day. Today, we met to start discussing the rollout of the Africa Continental Free Trade Area Agreement and the plans around it. We hosted the Secretary General, His Excellency Mene Wamkele, who put before us the implementation results that so far they've managed to attain. And as a member state, we are very much interested in bringing this conversation, particularly as we are private sector led, within the space of private business, so that private business can get involved. As you know, that some of the big things that need to happen within the continent is to bring down barriers and those things that stop trade from happening seamlessly between member states. It shouldn't be such that for products to come from Kenya to Botswana, they should go to Europe first before they can get here. And for me to send you money, I shouldn't send you US dollars first before you can convert them to shillings. This is the story of the AFCTA. And that is what we are converging about here in the capital of Botswana, Gaborone.
You mentioned appropriately about the policy issues that are supposed to be done. How else should countries prepare their citizenry to the opportunities in AFCTA?
Education is always very important, but also a great deal of education is interest. You know, if we are not interested, particularly for small, micro and medium enterprises, it will be very difficult for us to have that upward mobility that we are going for and gunning for. Yes, within the policy framework, there is a lot of movement. However, we need to start seeing that trickle down, going down to the streets and getting down to small businesses and their micro businesses. But with technology, we will begin to see some form of upward mobility because, as you are aware, there is a heightened speed towards digitalization on the continent. Yes, the infrastructure is still wanting in many ways. Even this connection, you were just complaining about it a bit earlier, that it's not as fast as it should be. However, these are things that we need to start addressing going forward. Then we also need to begin to understand how we are going to fund the infrastructure itself. We are so behind. And as you may be aware, at this point, we have been devastated as a continent by the COVID pandemic. And it will be very difficult for us to recover the amount of taxes, the tax revenue that our governments have lost in the time. However, with us coming together and working together, not only as member states, but also as a continent, as a people, removing borders, not just for trade, but also even for populations within the continent, will begin, perhaps, in many ways, bring us close to where China is today, where China has managed to lift, they say, 980 million people from poverty. And last year, 770 million from extreme poverty. So you can see it is possible for us to do something about this. And that's the main conversation we're driving from the capital.
Great. So 36 countries out of about 56 countries in Africa have so far ratified the Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement and in de facto joined. So are there any murmurs of any more countries joining into the intra-Africa trade body?
Yes, you will understand that some of they take time because the update we have is at the tail end of looking at that policy instrument. I cannot represent the Ministry of Trade, nor can I represent the negotiators, but I can tell you now, from what they have said, we are right at the tail end of seeing to it that we get to ratify. Yes, we have signed, yes, we have agreed. However, we need to have that policy instrument ratified so that then we can start moving it from being in the policy space, in the political space, more into the private sector, where really that is where you want to start seeing the traction. And that is why we have decided to convene a conference like this, led by private sector participants, led by development partners, led by government leaders, and also by the diplomatic corps. I mean, the secretary of the World Chamber of Commerce, and also I want to believe the chairperson of your Nairobi Stock Exchange, Kitoni Kiprono, is part of this conference, and tomorrow he will be addressing us